This is TNA, the new face of professional wrestling.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Feast or Fired with me and my wife.
Sorry.
Look, things happen, and with how life is now, we just gotta take this at whatever pace we're capable of doing it at. And I am working on filler content. I am learning some video editing with the hopes that I could put up some WWE 2K23 videos. Maybe just some compilations of silly things from matches and stuff, but we'll see what happens with that. As well as I think I'm going to review the Wrestling Society X episodes all on my own. With, some video editing involved in that. So hopefully I can get that as filler content as we go about our lives and try to navigate watching old weekly pay-per-views of TNA. But speaking of weekly TNA pay-per-views, this is the February 19th, 2003 weekly show. And yeah, my notes aren't that long.
And you know me, my notes are never that long.
Yeah. Anyways, we start out with a 5+ minutes of a recap of the start of the show. Not that I mind recaps, but this was way too much. It seems like we had to cover every twist and turn over the past 3 months.
Yeah.
Actually, it may have even been less than that, to be completely honest. And it would be impossible to tell because there's so much stupid shit has happened that I don't care about. Alright, Goldilocks is outside waiting for Styles to show up because far be it for wrestlers to show up on time for work.
I thought it was someone else she was waiting.
No, she was waiting for Styles.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, you're on a 2-hour program once a week and you're late. Anyways.
That would be my dad. You know that, right?
I understand that, but still. Anyways, a car does roll up behind her this time, with this, and Styles gets out, and we can also clearly see in the driver's seat is Vince Russo. Since we've been on a bit of hiatus, I'm going to go over this a little bit. The background for this is that AJ Styles has been going after Jeff Jarrett and taking advantage of Jeff Jarrett's being distracted by the SEX faction and their nonsense. And there's been this whole is he or is he not with Russo background story happening. With, Styles on his way to try to get the title from Jarrett. So, him coming to the show with Russo plays into the idea that maybe he actually is with Russo now. But as we'll see later, they're still teasing. Anyways. Go straight into match number 1. We are having a short tournament. We are having a short tournament to determine who is going to be facing Triple X for the tag titles, I think next week. We had the first round last week where it was two teams. Whoever lost was eliminated, and then the winners fought this week. And these are the winners, the Harris Twins and AMW. Anyways, not a lot to say here. AMW's in control. Harris Twins look like they are slow and falling behind these two younger and more hungry competitors. The Twins eventually need to involve chairs and double teaming on the outside to gain the advantage. They've been playing their hand with their faces, not getting a tag because the ref didn't see it too much. Okay, they've been doing this way too many times recently, where and I think it's specifically with AMW too.
Yeah, I think so too.
Where they've had had America's Most Wanted, have a guy stuck in the ring for a while, getting beat up. He goes to try to make a hot tag. The ref doesn't see it. And for whatever reason, that one he chooses not to let go. And not let them switch. So they did that again after I swear I've seen it like 4 or 5 times in the past 2 months.
Yeah, I'm getting so sick of that.
After a hot tag, though, the hair. Oh no, sorry. I am just. This is the reason why we need to record like the next day. Anyways, the Harris brothers are basically remain in control the rest of the match. The random shot from Storm and a roll up from Chris Harris gets a surprise victory to move on. Overall, a middling match. Neither of these teams excelled here. Obviously, AMW looks better. They're better shape. They're younger. And, they're good. It's just, they don't have a lot of work with the Harris twins, who are just big guys. With not a lot of, athleticism in their repertoire. Not the worst match I've ever seen. Just wasn't great. Anyways, moving on. You got Goldilocks with Russo again. Russo is mad and not paying attention to anything Goldie's asking her, and he berates the Harris brothers for losing. We go back to the announce desk where TNA is basically cursing out Styles and for disgracing the NWA and siding with Russo. And then we get our obligatory nonsense segment where Russo gets in the ring. Yes, TNA to come in the ring. He proceeds to brag about making The Rock, Austin, and Degeneration X, and says he's going to do the same with Styles. I find this funny because in legitimate interviews, I know Russo has said before that he was not involved in Stone Cold's character whatsoever.
Backpedaling and all.
No, I think that's the legitimate truth, and this was just character. If you talk into it, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to not tell me.
Not when you talk that quietly.
I'm not talking quietly.
Okay, but you were talking quietly, deliberately. Oh my God.
Well, yeah.
Did you really need to derail our recording for this?
Yes, I did, apparently.
Oh my God.
I'm a procrastinator by all reasons.
Yes. Try to do this in one take because I don't want to edit these.
Lazy.
Anyways, after he makes all these brags, Dusty Rhodes appears. He goes on some diatribe. I say I'm not even sure what Rhodes is talking about here. He thinks Russo is going to fall out of the business, I guess. Once he fails again, he's just going to go away. We know that's not true. Russo suggests that what happened with Dustin becoming Goldust is what made Dusty dislike Russo. And basically, the whole idea here is that the Goldust character is, silly and disgraceful. So, and Dusty Rhodes is mad at Russo for that. And then Russo also suggests to Dusty that he was more of a father to his son than he was. Russo was a better dad than, Goldust's actual dad was to him.
I mean, that is a huge insult.
Okay. So Dusty, taking exception to this, takes off his belt with the intention of whipping Russo's ass with it.
And then mentions about midget beating off in a trash can again.
Yeah, I was hoping we'd never have to hear anything about a midget beating off in a trash can ever again, but here we are. Anyways, the Harris brothers jump in to attack Dusty. Then Big Van Vader appears, taking out the twins and letting Dusty have his shots at Russo. Then they say there's going to be a match later. When they say later, I think they end up meaning next week, because we don't get a match with Vader and Dusty versus them tonight. But it's nice to see Vader. I explained to my wife, about him a little bit. Told her about the one match where his eye got dislodged from the socket, and he pushed it back in and just kept going.
Yeah, that is big badassery right there.
Oh, Vader was just fucking tough, man.
to get on his bad side ever.
He's dead.
I still don't want to risk it.
Okay, so it's gonna be a 3-on-2 with the Harris, like the Harris twins and Russo versus two guys who are now both passed away.
That is so sad.
I know. All right. We cut back to Goldilocks with some dude who won a silent auction to interview Jerry Lynn. And the basic gist of this is that Lynn says Conan is just as bad as Russo, and he's going to do the same sort of damage here. Again, since it's been a while, I'm going to give a little bit of context for this. Conan has been showing up attacking the X Division guys, and just recently got the Spanish announce team, aka the Maximo brothers, to side with him because his claim is that the X Division is basically plagiarizing or ripping off the Luchador style, and he is mad about this and wants to destroy the X Division. So that's the story here, and Lynn is on the side of trying to protect the X Division because, that's like part of what he's in. And he feels like they're, respectful to Lucha Libre and all that. So, competing sides here. Anyways, he's also got a match next, which is a 3-way, I think it's a 3-way dance, is what they say it is, but it's really just a triple threat. The difference being is one's elimination style, the other one's single pin. But the competitors here are the two Maximo brothers and Jerry Lynn, so it's essentially a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Yeah.
Anyways, the Maximos immediately go after Lynn, forcing him to fight both of them off, trying to get a quick win over, and he, has to try to get a quick win over one of them to start out here. He does a good job at the start of splitting his offense to fight off the numbers advantage. Lynn is also managing to use the SAT's offense against him to prevent them from getting him in a 2-on-1 situation. Momentum does eventually go in the favor of the Maximos, tandem offense and pin attempts, Lynn showing heart and trying to fight back. Eventually, Lynn fights off the double Spanish fly and tries to pin both but fails. Lynn somehow then the finish comes. Lynn somehow gets one Maximo to catch the other in like the tombstone pile driver position. He hits a drop kick to the back of the one that's carrying his brother, causing him to hit the pile driver. And then he hits his own cradle pile driver on the one that wasn't driven, didn't just have his head driven into the mat, and wins the match. Inventive, but silly. But it's fine.
Silly.
It's something silly that happened to heels, so it's a little more forgivable. Immediately after the match, Conan comes into the ring with a weapon, but Lynn, gets out of dodge. I liked that match. It was a good match for what it was.
I like the fact that Jerry Lynn won.
Of course you do.
Well, Oodles and Noodles is my favorite.
I know. That's why of course you do.
I'll eventually get a new favorite, maybe.
Anyways, moving on. We go to another segment. This time it's Raven with Goldie. I come to the realization that vast majority of the time, we don't need Goldilocks here for these segments.
She's just pretty.
I think the idea, and they have it in their head, is that the backstage stuff isn't like WWE where there just happens to be like cameras at all times on everyone. Or like that's the idea of it in WWE half the time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like WWE has this like almost storybook feel to like how some things are presented, where you see things that like you should the guys who are back there having the conversation or whatever they're doing or whatever they're saying normally wouldn't do that in front of a camera. So we kind of have to go with the idea that the camera's not actually there and we're just seeing something, for the purpose of storytelling. So we got this little fantasy area in WWE. We're doing that, and I think TNA is trying to make it more realistic here, where the idea is that we have an interview girl running around with a cameraman to go and do these interviews. And she's the one that's finding these people to do these segments with. So when I say a lot of these don't need her there, yeah, she's not really important in the actual segment itself, but it's to kind of sell the idea that she's the reason why we're having the segment to begin with. Anyway, that's my diatribe on that.
I assume that all wrestling was like this. I've never really watched wrestling.
It gets different in TNA later. It's weird in TNA later. Like, we'll have, like, crimes being committed on camera, but we'll have this, like, faux realism where, like, the cameraman's, like, afraid to come out of the shadows because, like, this is like, he's torturing a guy over there. I don't want to get involved in that sort of thing. But no one's calling the cops either. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I'd be afraid too.
You're gonna love Abyss. Anyways, Goldilocks with Raven. Raven cuts a promo about the pain Sandman has caused him, taking back the wife and child that was Sandman's to begin with, and wants to return to Pain the Sandman. Because apparently, at some point, Raven was with Sandman's ex-wife, and he treated the child that Sandman had with her like his own, and then eventually Sandman got his wife and child back. I don't know. I don't know the real life story about that. That's just what we're being told here. And then to add more, because there's always needs to be more in these segments, Russo and Siaki pass by. And I never actually catch what they're saying because it gets kind of drowned out. And then he's stopped by someone else and we don't hear that either. I don't know what happened there. I think there was supposed to be some sort of information given to us, and it just didn't. Which wasn't given to us. Not very clearly, at least.
Awesome storytelling. What?
I guess. Glenn is in the ring. He's still playing up the making up character gimmicks thing. Like, you know, the gimmicks are fake. Which is weird.
It still looks like he's questioning every life choice he's ever made.
Well, yeah, but we found out now what he wanted to do with the Flying Elvis suit that he stole from
Sorry,
from Estrada.
I love my nickname for this dude.
And so he introduces a guy who is referred to as Disgraceland.
Not my nickname for him. My nickname is so much better.
So he comes out in the Flying Elvis suit, but immediately takes it off to wrestle. Even though literally every Flying Elvis had worn that suit to wrestle in up to, you know, the point in which it was stolen from Jorge.
Yeah, my nickname for this dude, by the way, is Drunk Elvis.
Yeah.
Which makes so much more sense.
Okay, my wife's probably not going to have much to say about this. I mean, she'll have a little to say, and you'll see why, but, like, let's get into it. Anyways, he has a match. It's Disgraceland versus Shark Boy, and this match just makes me sad. So they, you know, get a little bit of a tussle. He gets Shark Boy, you know, he's kind of beating Shark Boy up pretty well. And then for whatever reason, he just starts eating sandwiches.
Yep. Yeah, I literally cannot talk on this one outside of...
He is gnawing them like a braying horse.
Oh my god. Thinking about it just makes me nauseous.
Just mouth wide open.
Oh.
I need to stop.
Oh my god.
I wrote, this is super fucking lame.
It is, like,
Okay, I'm not talking about it anymore.
I am so sorry, everyone.
Anyways,
I don't know why I can't deal with that.
Shark Boy goes for the Dead Sea drop and gets blocked into some neck breaker thing from Disgraceland to get the win. Rip Shark Boy. Estrada shows up and attacks him from behind, but the numbers do catch up on him quick. They drag Estrada away to the SEX locker room and give him a swirly, I guess. They threw him in the toilet and, like, shoved his head in there.
my god, they're grade school bullies.
Yes, and hopefully, I know we have to see him like one more time, but hopefully we never have to see him eat again.
Oh my god, I will be sick every time we watch.
You know what? I'm really amazed by this. We suffered through the dups, and you never got ill with that.
Oh, there were times.
No, I mean, not as you never retched like this.
No, I don't know what it is about. Like, I can watch people eat. I have no problem with that normally. With him, I felt so nauseous, and like I had to cover my eyes.
Stand Up literally had fucking chewing tobacco drool running down his chin and like upper chest, and that didn't gross you out as much as this.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
I mean, it did gross me out, and I would avoid it at all costs, but like...
I'm glad they're gone, too.
Oh
Jesus Christ, cat. No.
Yeah, you want her.
Okay, so, moving on with life. We got a hype package for Jarrett about his pursuit of the world title. This is fine. We get goalie with JJ Dillon. Dillon is disappointed with Styles, and Zbyszko seems to be completely clueless about what's happening. Some more background, because again, we're re-catching up on ourselves on what's been happening. Zbyszko has inserted himself in Styles' life as his mentor. Even, not beating him, but setting up a challenge for Styles to overcome that Styles failed so that he would become the mentor, and then he's been working to try to help him get the world title shot. But an alliance with Russo is not something that apparently was in the cards for Zbyszko and Styles, so Zbyszko's completely confused here. Moving on, match number 4 of the night. It's actually an X-title match. Okay, Jerry Lynn is supposed to be the number 1 contender, but because of the Maximum match, which I guess he asked for and prioritized over the title, that's being pushed off, and so we're having a title match tonight between the runner-up from the elimination match that they had, and so this is newcomer Paul London versus the X Division champion, Kid Cash.
Buffed and Long.
Yeah, or as my wife likes to call him, Buffed and Long.
Sorry, he looks like Justin Long, but buff.
Anyways, we get a little different styles of chain wrestling to start, more lockups than flippy stuff, which is a nice change of pace when we get to see that sort of thing almost at the beginning of every X Division match. It looks like they're trying to sell the idea that London is not only good, but he also, studies his opponents before he gets in the ring with them. Because Cash does go through his chair throw thing at London, who catches it and throws it right back in his face.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
This match is just a lot of really good back and forth. And then a pile driver eventually gives Cash the win. I understand that there's not a lot of specific moments I can point out in this match. It was just good work, and that's the best thing I can say about it. It's just that this was just a good solid match of this X Division style that these two could put on. Paul London didn't look out of place. He didn't look sloppy. He did all his moves correctly. Cash had one of his better matches, considering I see him come short on a lot of moves over the past few months of watching him. So, this probably was probably the best match of the night. Most legitimately competitive match of the night, for sure. The thing is, you'll probably hear me say the best match of the night was the X Division match, 9 out of 10 shows. At least for a while. Till later. Anyways, we get Goldie in the sex locker room, SEX locker room. Try not to call him sex. Apparently Russo left and Siaki is claiming that he's in charge. That may have been what was being said, but since we never heard it.
We can only
Anyways,
assume.
Anyways, I don't know what he really was telling people to do. Just bring home the gold, I guess. Like, he was trying to give a... Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, that's kind of more or less what he was saying.
He was trying to give a pep talk, but he wasn't good at it. Which is fine. I want to sell the idea that he's not really good at giving pep talks. That's fine.
Yeah.
Not a natural born leader.
He's not really good on the mic at all.
That's fine. That's why he's got,
Desire.
yeah.
Like, I think that's her name. I keep trying to call her Desiree.
I know.
And I don't know why.
Moving on with this. So, remember Tough Enough? I know you don't, but, like, other people?
Honey, no one can actually answer you.
I know, but I'm giving them a moment to think about it.
Oh, okay. So glad you talked to me about these things.
All right. So, I don't know specifically what season this is, but actually, well, I mean, I think I know who won on this season. It was John Morrison and Matt Capitelli, who unfortunately I think passed away from brain cancer before he ever really made a main roster debut.
God.
Yeah, and John Morrison hasn't had the best runs in WWE either, with him having some really lame gimmicks for a while. Then he got some momentum up to the point where he caused some backstage. Well, I don't want to say he caused the backstage drama. He was involved with backstage drama where he probably should have just, I understand. Okay. So he was upset. I'm getting in a complete tangent. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. But basically, he was upset because I guess his actual real life partner ended up cheating on him with Batista, and he confronted Batista backstage at a show. And it just kind of, you don't do that.
Oh, I meant to say something about the last fight, and I'm sorry for now bringing it up. I actually really liked how Kid Rock lookalike was a really good winner and like was congratulating Buffton Long. I really did.
Yeah, I know. He's not playing heel quite yet. He's still got Trinity out there with him, who I just recently realized she actually was in WWE for a little bit as well.
I want to know what happened to her other tag team people.
Divine Storm?
Yeah.
No idea.
They just kind of fucked off. Sorry.
They might come back. Who knows? I mean, there's at least one other person that I know for at least one other person for a fact that we see again a lot more significantly who has not just come back since this first, few times he was there, and that was, Monty Brown.
Bubble Butt?
Yeah.
Sorry. I'll eventually learn their names, as you've seen. Like, I do actually know Kid Rock lookalike's
Okay,
name.
you really...
But,
you need to find a balance in your thing because you keep peeking my microphone.
Sorry. But I like my nicknames for them. It makes me feel better. All right, now you can go back to, your other thing.
Keep doing it. Anyways,
I'm either really quiet or
that's I know, and it's a problem because you do not give me a middle ground to work with, so I have no way of balancing this until I get a better microphone.
Well, we need better microphones. That's all I can tell you.
People, help us get a better microphone. So my entire point of bringing up Tough Enough was that the guy they have here is from Tough Enough, and his name is Jonah, and he is going to have a match tonight against Mike Sanders. Anyways, Mike Sanders comes out. There's some blonde woman with him. I don't know this woman. And then no one makes mention of her until Mike gets on the microphone. Anyways, Mike calls him a loser for coming third in Tough Enough. And he goes on to basically say, but you could join us in, Sports Illustrated and Sports Entertainment Extreme. And basically offers him the same deal as Siaki. Here's a woman. She's your whore. Come work for us. But that's basically the deal that Siaki got.
I'm just a little, concerned about these women. Are they drugged? Do they know what they're doing?
Escorts.
Where's the decency here?
Some women will basically do this sort of thing and hang on to men they find powerful for the purpose of status, things like that, and it's their choice. They're allowed to do it.
I'm gonna judge them.
And you're allowed to criticize them for it.
I'm extremely judgy, people. I'm kidding, I'm not really.
I mean, it's all character work, so I don't really care one way or the other. I just want to talk about the wrestling.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about the...
Anyways, so Jonah turns down this deal and gets a cheap shot for it.
You mean Jersey Shore?
I don't want to call him that.
It's my nickname for him. He looks like...
I don't want to call him that because we get a group called the Shore later, and I don't want everything confused, even though it will be 7 years from now.
Oh, then I'm fine. My other nicknames will be faded away by then.
Anyways... I don't really pay too much attention to the match because I get distracted looking up to see when we see Apollo and Monty Brown, as I don't care about Sanders wrestling. Anyways, Jonah gets distracted by the blonde wiggling her big fake boobs and then loses and is never going to be seen again because he fucks off. Basically quit. But he basically has a few other things and then quits wrestling.
Fucks off to Europe. Sorry.
So,
I am now thinking of something.
Next segment is they're bringing back the interrogation thing they did with Truth a little while back. I don't remember if that was last week or if that was 2 months ago, but I recall it. I recall that they did it only one other time, and I recall it was with Truth.
I think it was 2 weeks from the show that we're watching. From the one that we're doing right now.
It's so hard to tell when we've had so much time between episodes.
Again, this one is...
Okay,
This is my fault.
Please speak in a middle volume. For the love of God.
Middle volume.
Anyways.
You've lived with me for
I don't really care about this, so I didn't write down any of his answers. It was just Sandman giving answers. Next is the tag match. Raven and Low-Ki versus Sandman and Steve Corino.
What did I put as a...
Golden Crotch?
His Golden Crotch.
As opposed to Steel Crotch, Low-Ki.
Oh yeah, I should really change his nickname to Steel Crotch.
Anyways, Sandman and Steve Corino go to pose in the crowd, and Raven and Low-Ki run in to go after them. I see Sandman do a dive from the bleachers, which is rarely seen. I rarely see Sandman do dives, so that was crazy. They have control of the heels for a while. They even do some ping pong punches and Irish whips, Irish whips into Corino holding a trash can. Raven manages to get a shot in and then hits a pile driver through a table on Sandman right over concrete. Great plan there. Corino is now fighting alone in the ring, but is managing Raven and Low-Ki for a bit. Eventually, the numbers game catches up. Two can take control over Corino, and Sandman tries to crawl to the ring with his Singapore cane. Raven sets up a chair, and Corino... Raven sets up the chair to try to do the drop toe hold thing that he does, where he does the drop toe hold and you go face first into the chair. But Corino tries to turn it around and do it back to Raven. Raven manages to catch himself, pick up the chair, and throw it at Corino. That was a cool little segment they did in that match. That was a little swerve from the usual.
Yeah.
After Carino manages to down both the opponents, Sandman is using the trash can as a drum to urge him to come tag him in, and then manages to do this. We get some more weapon shots and near falls for a bit, because this is just basically a tag team Extreme Rules match.
I don't know.
Raven does manage to hit the Raven Effect DDT on Sandman for the win, and it was a pretty standard weapons match. As I said, we had some interesting bits in there, things that I don't normally see, like Sandman doing that dive. So, for at least Sandman being involved, this was above par. Because Sandman is in no way, shape, or form any sort of like technical master or anything. We get a hype package for Styles. Hyping up this match coming at the end of the night, or this main event, which is next. I did just write down here that the opening 5 minutes still made this feel like this should have been a triple threat match between these two and Raven for the title, because basically Raven's been involved in the title scene, but I guess because Sandman happened to be there, he's just not involved now. Whatever. I feel like plans just like go awry here randomly.
Probably does.
Final match of the night, NWA World Championship match. Jeff Jarrett versus AJ Styles.
I have nothing.
Okay.
I'm like, you're waiting, and I'm like, I've got nothing.
No, I was just like, got something stuck in my throat.
Oh, I thought you were waiting for me and like being a gentleman.
Couple of lockups and takedowns for a slow start to this match. After a clothesline putting Styles out of the ring, Jarrett is the first to fly as he dives over those ropes onto Styles. They start whipping each other in the barricades, and this moves back into the ring. Next bit is quite a bit of striking from Styles, leading to an attempted Hurricane Rana, being turned into a powerbomb by Jarrett, but he can't pin and just uses it to recover. Like he's too out of it. Like it was almost a desperation thing. About halfway through, Zbyszko is turned up, just in time to stop Jarrett from hitting a superplex on Styles by holding his foot to, keep him from getting the full footing to pull Styles up into the suplex.
This is where I said it was turning into a clusterfuck.
Yeah. Zbyszko even manages to knock Jarrett out with a brass knucks from behind, but Jarrett still manages to kick out because he's a resilient babyface right now. J.J. Dillon shows up and ejects Zbyszko from ringside. Jarrett starts to mount a comeback, but a springboard off the ropes and Styles locks in a sleeper hold in the middle of the ring. I think they do the fading bit, and then he fights out, and then ducks a flying forearm, which takes out the ref, preventing Jeff from winning with the stroke, where he would have won right here, actually. A new ref does manage to come out, but not fast enough to get the 3 count. Fighting back again, Jarrett hits a monkey flip on Styles, who, again, runs into the new ref. This allows the Harris twins to run in and hit the H-bomb on Jarrett, but Vaders and Dusty do come out to fight them away. Styles goes for the cover, the ref recovering just barely to try to count, but Jarrett kicks out. Jarrett fights out of the Styles clash, but the resulting tussle still ends in Styles getting set up for a second time and hitting it. Jarrett does manage to kick out still. Now Siaki shows up. Desire is a distraction as Siaki hits 2 Siakalips on Jarrett. Styles is sick of this because apparently he doesn't actually want this amount of help, and hits Siaki with the Styles clash, but this lets Jarrett hit the stroke on Styles from behind and gets off the second rope and gets a win. So, this match was screwy. Everything was trying to go in Styles' favor, but since Styles still has a little bit too much honor to take, such a cheap win, he kind of sets himself up to fail here. So it's hard to say that Styles lost this match. despite everything, and it's also hard to say that Styles lost cleanly. It's hard. So this does leave enough ambiguity going forward to give Styles reason to argue for a rematch. Know what I mean?
And justifully so.
And for the final segment, we go to Russo, who is in his car, who claims he's outside Jeff Jarrett's house and is about to go in and sit down with Jarrett's wife and kids and wait for Jarrett to come home. And with that, the show ends.
There you have it. Jeff Jarrett's family's dead.
Yeah, we're going to run that joke into the ground.
We really are.
Anyways, feast or fired, my love.
I don't know. There were so many matches that were just so fucking much clustering. And
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I couldn't follow some of the storyline at all, which is bad storyline on their part, not mine. My fault. And, you know, the one dude eating just made me so sick. Again, I don't know what happened there, so please don't judge.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, I'm judgy. So
Okay,
everybody is.
but what's your final rating?
I really don't know.
You got to give it 1.
And I can't do, you know. I really don't know. I'm actually going to give it a fired.
Okay.
Because
She said fired.
the one dude eating really nauseous.
I'm going to say this. There wasn't a ton of talk of of long drawn out overblown talking segments in this show. The Disgraceland thing was legitimately the only truly terrible bit on this show. I'm going to have to give it a feast.
Have it. We try it on. We're going to divorce because of it.
Yeah. There is a lot of opportunity in this show that could have made it so much worse.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weeks we've had that they had an opportunity to be basically closer in line to what we got tonight, and they've been so much worse.
I know, but
They made the right call on the previous show by not having us have AMW versus the New Church again, because we've seen that like 10 times already. And while the Harris twins are nothing special, it still was better than seeing, that rematch. For as bad as TNA can be at times, and as annoying as the sports entertainment and stream stuff is, this show was fine. And right now, with like how some of the weeks have been really, really, really bad, because I have to watch David Flair and Mike Sanders both have matches and all that. I think if I gave this a fired, I would have to go back to other shows and really rethink giving them the feasts I gave them if I wanted to be truly fair.
And that's fair and all, but like my biggest concern was the fact that I couldn't watch part of it without the need of gagging.
And that's fine. Yeah, that's your scale. And I got my scale. And that's another reason why we do this together, because we have contrasting values on what we find entertaining and good about these shows, or bad about these shows.
Though I am going to say it was really hard to give it a fired because, Oodles and Noodles won.
Jarrett won.
Yeah, Sunglasses won.
AMW won.
Yeah, people I like to win won, but because of that one segment that made me want to throw up, even now talking about it, I feel like the bile throwing like in my.
If Shark Boy had been facing someone else, you wouldn't have cared if he had lost.
No, I wouldn't have. But because
you don't have any love for Shark Boy like a lot of people do.
I don't hate him either, just so we're clear. I don't love or hate him. He's a wrestler. but because of that, like if he was against Flair, not Rick, the other one, David Flair, I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, you know what, this is a fire or a feast. Sorry, but because of that one segment,
yeah, it's enough to ruin it for you.
It really is.
Okay, that's all we need to say. It's enough to ruin it for you. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but I feel like people are like, wow, she's so. Yeah, that is.
Why? A meal can be cooked perfectly, but you find a maggot in your dessert, and you're gonna say it's gonna ruin your meal.
True.
Right?
Yeah, true.
Okay. Well, for me, I didn't find a maggot because, I wouldn't call that a maggot. I'd just say it was annoying. It was like, it's just a bland, that was more of like just a bland salad among, a very decent meal.
I wish I could think like that. I really do, but like.
I'm just giving a comparison for the purpose of understanding our perspectives.
Yeah,
for you had a maggot in your food. And for me, I had a bland salad on it, and I'm otherwise fine. Bland salad on an otherwise fine meal.
Yeah, like I said, if it wasn't that one segment, this would have been a feast.
Okay.
But all because of that, like, again, the nauseation.
Okay, well, we don't need to linger on that anymore. Anyways, thank you for listening. Again, I am going to be getting to work on this other content. I'm trying to get things set up so that I can start the 2K23 Fantasy League proof of concept that I'm going to do, where me, my wife, and our son have all done draft picks, and we are going to have point values determined based upon pay-per-view results and who our draft picks are and how they perform. And that's going to be one of the 2K23 contents. I might also just have compilation videos of silly things in matches. Like I was just grinding out stuff earlier, and I had wished I was recording because it got silly.
Oh my gosh!
Sami Zayn just caught in the Hell in the Cell cage, just sprawled out. Was funny. Finn Balor was on top of it, just dead, looked like his neck was just completely broken. It was hilarious. But look forward to that sort of stuff. I can't promise any sort of frequency right now. I have to get used to video editing. And then I also have the Wrestling Society X stuff I want to review. I'm going to have to download those. And then we will be doing the Feast or Fired TNA reviews as frequently as we can. It's a scheduling thing with how where my wife works, and how we gotta manage our lives around that. So just don't always have the time for it.
And I have priorities outside of this, dealing with my family and everything, and family comes first to me.
Okay. Anyways, thank you for listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Keep on wrestling, guys.
Have a good night.